in his room, so I've got washing hanging up, kids stuff everywhere. I thought, let me blur the background.
Mate,
It don't look very musical guru type stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I thought,
I got a
yeah,
I got a vacuum right here. I got stuff around the place as well because me and my girlfriend were in a 2 bedroom apartment, but we've
yeah,
just bought a house and we move in a week.
nice.
So our first
I
house
bet
is
you're looking
pretty.
forward to that. It's stressful, but I bet you're looking forward to it, right?
It's a little bit stressful with there's a couple of things, but like getting it over the line and it's a 3 bedroom and it's bigger and it's got a backyard,
Oh,
and
nice,
I've got
nice.
the studio, the room that's going to be the studio is
Yeah, yeah,
has
yeah.
a deck that goes out the front of the house as well. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
I couldn't help but notice that you've got, I think, a Man United scarf hanging up there, have you? In the background.
I thought you would notice that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Spurs fan. I'm a Tottenham fan, you see. So I
Oh,
just,
no, I don't mind Spurs. I won't lie. They're probably
no, I
like
don't
my
know.
second
That
pick.
Europa League final was a bit ropey, wasn't it? That was a terrible final, wasn't it? That was Jesus.
Oh, I haven't kept up with much to be honest. Like I just see highlights and stuff. I used to be real into it when I was back at school, but
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
it's not something I play heaps of FIFA, but
Oh, okay, okay.
like
I mean, as a Man United fan at the moment, you probably do best to turn the other way at the moment. But I'm sure they'll spin it
yeah,
round,
no,
mate.
that's
Spin it round.
been like the last 10 years
It's been tricky for you
since
lot. It's been tricky all round, you know. But yeah, man.
yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, are you recording already or?
Yeah, I've already pressed record.
Cool,
Um,
man.
so yeah, it's awesome that you could jump on, cause
Mm.
like even just now I was on Instagram like 2 seconds ago, and you popping up. Like obviously I only followed you the other day. I was
Yeah,
binging your content. I was like, this
yeah,
is like a lot of the time the longer form videos. It's hard to sometimes keep people's attention because everyone's got like TikTok brain. I think
mm,
I don't. I tend to watch like most videos a lot of the way through, but
yeah.
your videos, even though they're longer, are like they are very interesting and they're so informative. And I was just wondering, how long have you been like mixing, mastering, or just producing in general?
Yeah, so, I've been producing music since, well, what's it now? 2025. So, I started tinkering about with production in the late 90s. So, a good 25 years plus. But when I actually things started to click was the early noughties. 'Cause I spent the first couple of years not knowing what the hell was going on. My mates were a bit older than me. They were making tunes on a program called Octamed. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's quite a wild program to look at. It kind of scrolls down and it looks a bit crazy, right? So
Right.
I didn't really get my head into that as somebody that could confidently jump on the buttons and write a track with it. But I started to understand the fundamentals of production, certain terminologies and things at that point. But then when it went more in the box, well, say when it went in the box, I actually did have a hardware set up for a little while, which was an Atari sampler, an Akai sampler, an Atari computer, and a little mixing desk. And there, I actually got my head around things there, but I only used that for about a year until I started. I was using music on the PlayStation as well, which kind of helped me understand things too.
Oh
But
my
then
god.
yeah, it's mad, mate. Like, and it was actually a really good piece of software. Like, there's a few grime tracks that were made in music. Like, and I believe I'm pretty sure Scream as well and Benga started out
Yeah.
using that, and that's how they kind of got to grips with things. But from then, it was Reason. As soon as Reason come along, in the box in the door, that's when everything clicked. Like the early noughties with the whole grime thing for me is when it all kind of clicked, where I was actually making tracks that DJs were going to play and stuff like that. So, the production side of things, I'd say holistically 26, 27 years. And the mixing and mastering stuff, I'd say for a good 15 plus years that I've been mixing and mastering. And I mean from the very get-go, not as I don't know. I wouldn't say not as a business because it was actually off the back of me wanting to get more out of my own music that I started to really sort of try to understand about. It was mostly mastering, actually, that I wanted to know about. I wasn't fully aware at this point that without a good mix, you ain't getting a good master. It's all in the mix, right?
Yeah.
But because my mixes I felt were relatively okay at that point, it was like mastering. I want to learn about mastering to get more out of my songs. And it was only when I started sending music to N-Type that he turned around and said to me, yo, who does your mastering? Because your tunes sound sick. I was like, oh, it's me, kind of thing. So he goes, okay, well, what if I pay you? Can you do some mastering for me? And I was like, okay, I don't really know what to charge you. I don't really know what to do. He was the first guy that ever paid me to do mastering. And then since then, I've always done it on kind of like a word of mouth thing behind the scenes. But then when I was kind of in between jobs, so I've worked in the music industry full time for about 8 years. But through the whole 25 plus years, I did music, but also had a job that kind of run parallel to that because I wasn't quite earning enough. And, you know, that's kind of how it is for a lot of people.
That's most people. That's a
exactly,
lot, like 99% of us, I'd say.
Exactly, yeah. It's really difficult to get to that point where you kind of tip it towards the end. There's a lot of risk in it as well. Like, you just sometimes don't know where the next gig's going to come from, where the next check's going to come from and stuff like that, or the royalties. So for me, it was kind of like, I got this opportunity popped up about 7 or 8 years ago in 2018, which allowed me to sort of take the plunge and take the risk to actually do music full time. But it was kind of working in education and stuff like this. So it wasn't just making beats, making money and DJing. It wasn't that at all. It was loads of stuff behind the scenes. That stuff also was a part of it. So kind of off the back of that, when 1111 mastering popped up, that was when I was kind of in a transitional period where I had to go back to doing a kind of 9 to 5 for like about 3 or 4 months whilst I transitioned from one thing to another. And that's when I thought, right, I need to start 1111 mastering. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start the business and I'm going to really put all my knowledge into this. Like, I build the website, everything. I do everything myself. I haven't outsourced none of it. Artwork, the whole shebang, everything is me. And you know, it's skills that I've acquired down the line and stuff. And, you know, the most important part is that, you know, the mixing and mastering stuff is on point and what I'm sort of offering there is kind of on point and everything's good, right? So for 2 years, that's what I've been putting my kind of everything. I think it might be more than 2 years now. So June, I think just over 2 years. So it was June 2023, did I launch it? Something like that anyway. But basically, yeah. So that's kind of the mixing and mastering journey and the music production journey in kind of like a nutshell. Along the music production thing, I've touched on many different genres as well, you know.
And so would you say like dubstep is like your main thing that you're...
No. So it was a main thing. So I'll give you a quick rough timeline, right? So I started as a jungle drum and bass kid, like a lot of us guys in their 40s did, right? Jungle drum and bass was the thing, right? I grew up on jungle drum and bass from like the early to mid 90s pirate radio as a listener, right? That's what I loved. That was my first love. That's what got me into it. Up until the early noughties, I was actually DJing all around my surrounding areas. I'd done a couple of international gigs as a jungle drum and bass DJ at a very young age. I was quite lucky to get on the circuit quite young. From the age of 16 onwards, I was already playing in clubs and stuff and doing my thing. The grime thing come around in the very early noughties, like 01, 02, and a friend of mine said, yo, there's this new sound, it's kicking off in London, it's called grime, we should give it a shot. He was actually my MC at the time. He used to MC over my jungle sets and stuff. He's like my best friend, right? And I was like, you know what, let's try it. He's an absolutely ridiculous MC and a very, very good music producer as well. And we just started making grime, and all of a sudden we formed a crew called Macabre Unit, which is kind of a big deal in grime. We're known as legends in grime and stuff. We were there from the get-go, probably the first crew outside of London to really do anything of any real impact, right? And we were known for having a lot of dub plates, a lot of dub plates. We'd rock up to the dance and play a whole set of dub plates of our own. They were all cut to acetate. It was a big thing, right? And we kind of rode that wave because we had a bunch of MCs. We had about 15 MCs as well that used to roll around with us. It was the whole crew thing, right? That's what the grime thing was. It was a street thing, it was a crew thing, right? So I spent, I'd say probably about 5 to 6 years riding that wave until things just changed a little bit. Like my production sound palette started to change. I started to make a bit more darker sort of stuff. The MCs sort of went off in different ways. Life got in the way. Things change. You know, people get a little bit older and stuff. So then I sort of latched onto dubstep, and I caught it at a relatively early stage, but it was already doing its thing. You know, your Mallers, Scream, and all that Distance. They were doing their thing, right? But I kind of come in from a different angle, having the Macabre Unit name from a grime angle. I already had a little bit of a leg up, let's say, because people already knew who I was. And I signed a release to Boca Records. I think that was, wow, what was that then? Where are we at now? I can't remember the dates. I'm sure that was like 2008 or something, 2009. Crazy. And that was kind of like a crossover, grime, dubstep thing. And shortly after that, I found myself making a lot of music that it didn't really fit with the dubby sort of Croydon dubstep sound that was really big at the time. And it wasn't quite grime anymore. But it did have a very strong undertone of drum and bass in there, like the tech step sort of neuro stuff that I grew up on and loved, like the early Ed Rush optical sound, Virus recordings, like the Renegade Hardware stuff. That's stuff that, for me, is the stuff that took my soul, man, that I knew that I was going to be doing music from there on out. It was that sound, you know?
So that those artists, because all those names you've just said, and even the record label, I have never heard of. And like that's just
Virus, Optical, Ed Rush, Kamal, Rob Data, Tech Itch. Never heard of them kind of people.
You're saying a lot of names that I've never heard. It's crap.
Like, that blows my mind, right? Because that's almost to me. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, you go.
Yeah, to me, that's like, in my world, that's
where
like
it all started.
You not know who Michael Jackson is, bruv. That's like you not knowing who Michael Jackson is. In my world, in my little brain of like tech step world, it's like you don't know who Optical and Ed Rush are. That's like not knowing who Michael Jackson is. Do you know what I mean? In my head, but I get it.
It's funny because I think like for me, this is gonna be, and I've encountered people who like I've been making music for. I think I got Ableton when I was like 16, and I'm 25 now. So nearly, I'm going to be 26 this year at the end of the year. So nearly 10 years. And when I first started, it was like I got a small DJ controller before I touched Ableton because I thought that was how people made music. Like, you know, I thought you see DJs on stage and it was like, oh, they're making it up there, you know? Like, that's what I thought. I was pretty naive at the time, and most of the people, at least in the town I was from, in New Zealand, small town, bottom of the country, were no one. I had one mate at school who's still like he's coming to see me to this day. Like he's coming over here to Aussie on New Year's. But me and him were like Skrillex. Like that was who kind of got me and him into that stuff, and I completely understand as well obviously the old school dubstep that you're referring to, and this is probably it's like even older than maybe stuff that I've heard obviously that UK sound, and then everyone's obviously talked about Skrillex ruined dubstep and blah, 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 because that was like such a hypey, screamy sound that he came in with. But then if you listen to the more recent stuff from him, it's almost like kind of going back a bit and modernising that really low, deep wubbiness, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but I've met people who they've only got into producing in the last 2 or 3 years. Their whole high school was like, I don't know, rap music or top 40, and they weren't super like into electronic music. And it's only since festivals and raves have started to headline electronic artists instead of it being like, bands or whatever, for your mainstream festivals. Like obviously you could go to a rave, but people haven't weren't seeking that out, or at least that crowd, until they're like exposed to it almost accidentally. They went to see like, you know, I don't know, some big name at a festival, and the person that was on before happened to be like, I don't know, Noisier or the Upbeats or like someone that they were like, oh my god, and that like, or a house DJ or something like that. And so suddenly they're like, oh my god, I want to be a DJ, but they've only discovered it recently. And then I'll go back and be like, all right, talking with some of these people, and I'm like, oh, have you heard this? And it'll be from like 2010. And they're like, oh my god, this is insane, I've never heard this. And I'm like, what? How have you not... sorry, I got a fucking fly or a spider on me. How have you not, like, you know, how have you not heard this? This is like, for me, the same thing that you're saying there. It's like, how have you not heard, you know, they might have heard of the artist, but they've never heard the earliest discography from that artist. Well, and I'm just like...
If you know about the Upbeats and Nausea, right, and you check out Virus, because I'm pretty sure Nausea might have even had a release on Virus. If not, they're very similar sort of vibes, right? And it's just a sort of earlier setting of it. So the sound that I'm kind of talking about would be like the early noughties, the slight late 90s, 98, 99, but actually it's the early noughties where that sound was really, really took off. And then the likes of, like, you know, Nausea comes shortly after that, and you've got Ram Records and all of that stuff. But just going back to Skrillex, actually, I you know, he's got a lot of respect for the UK sound, for the UK dubstep sound, and his whole thing was like, he's actually come over to the UK and he's DJ'd with the sort of OG dubstep heads at like nights and stuff. He's such a chill guy and down to earth, and he never meant like none of that. For him it was,
no, of course not.
And sort of and going back to the Nausea thing as well. Like there's a, you know, it's kind of like a connection there. What Skrillex said he was actually just trying to do was make stuff at 140, but that was inspired by Nausea and their sound design and their basses, right? And that's kind of all he sort of had in mind. He was just trying to make music like them because he was so inspired by them, but do it in his own way with the 140 sound, and it ended up
instead of it being like 174.
Yeah, exactly, and it ended up being coined bro step and dubstep and all this stuff. But really, he was just doing it Skrillex. Like there's no, he was just doing him, and you know, the media and people get funny with stuff because people struggle with change, don't they? They struggle with change. Of course. And that's I mean, the sounds couldn't be so different. If you listen to Digital Mystics, let's say Malal, Koki, and them guys, right, who like the OGs of dubstep from like them ends in London and stuff, it's very kind of dark, minimal. You're not hearing no raspy synthesis in there. It's quite, it's almost quite poppy, yeah, and quite very.
Sounds like a horror film a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's just very, very kind of still and dark and very like sort of corner of the club, dark dungeon sort of music, right? And Skrillex was completely different, but I think it got kind of coined with the dubstep name, and then it just got a bit out of hand, and it is what it is. But I actually think Skrillex done a lot, not just for the name dubstep, but I mean just electronic dance music in general. He blew it to a whole different world. Like I'm pretty sure that if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a massive amount of people making music now. They wouldn't be exposed to it. 'Cause it's all about exposure, right? It's all about how you consume your music and what you're exposed to, right? Because I know of people that have gone from being in death metal bands that are now all of a sudden making dubstep because they've been inspired by something that they've seen, right? And
it's such a similar sound, like really, they're kind of cousins.
Well, I mean,
I see metal and heavier stuff as like
Sullivan King or something who makes
Sullivan Kings.
Yeah, that like him. I've seen his gigs. They look. Oh, mate, it's a lot for me at my age, mate. If I was to go to one of them, I'd need therapy for about a month probably after. But it's bloody impressive, yeah. It's the same with Excision and all them heads, right? That's some serious stuff, which actually comes off the back of what Skrillex did. I have no doubt in my mind that if Skrillex hadn't done what he'd done with that music, half of these guys wouldn't be doing it. They wouldn't be experimenting with that sound palette. They wouldn't have the confidence and the courage to be like, yo, this shit works. He's done that, but I'm gonna do it my way and take it to a whole different level. And it opened up the creative mind beyond the technicality, and the technical aspect is impressive these days. I mean, Nausea, for example, for me, like, I mean, and you know, and the upbeats, I do admire the upbeats a hell of a lot. Technically,
They're from New Zealand. They're like,
yeah, I know. There's not many that can do it better. When you hear one of their tracks, you are literally just like, oh, I got a lot to learn, man. Like, there's just some serious,
humbling,
serious technicalities in there that are just so impressive, right? And yeah, I mean, you know, like the drum and bass heads, that's running deep, like 30 years, you know, in the making. But
have you heard have you heard Body Ocean?
Oh. Who?
Body Ocean.
No, I haven't. No.
So it's actually, I believe, it's one of the guys from the Upbeats. I'm pretty sure his name's Jeremy. So he has, I think it's him, and then there's two of them. But I seen him play at a festival in Dunedin where I was living last year in New Zealand, and it's like UK garage 140 kind of like fusion vibe, and so he's obviously wants to go off in that direction and explore that sound palette, which I like. UK bass is kind of, there's a couple of artists who are like kind of taking the UK garage, I guess, drum palette, maybe some of the patterns and stuff, and then fusing it with like dubstep, and they're related, you know, they can obviously cross over and they're similar BPMs. But
totally.
I like seen his set and I was like, oh, he, you know, not just drum bass. And I was like, obviously he wants to have it under a different name because it's just branding, and it wouldn't make sense to start releasing a bunch of stuff as the Upbeats.
I mean, because
that was that genre.
It's just about, you know, he's a creative at the end of the day, and he's just, you have to go with what you feel is good, and I think as well, like, They've got nothing to prove in drum and bass. Like, the Upbeats are up there with. They've got one of the most iconic songs in the game, right? What's that song that goes? What's it called?
Dead Limit.
One that everyone does. What's that?
Yeah,
the one that everyone does that mad dance to, that Mexican wave type thing to, right? That's a huge track, right? And I think for them as well, like from a commercial standpoint, you know, they've got a lot to offer. The more commercial side of things, without obviously going down the road of just making straight up pop music, but that kind of 140 kind of garagey kind of vibe is a lot more accessible across the board, like in the sense of people, I don't know, you're tapping into a whole different audience with that kind of sound, right? And I think it's you know, it's important that artists do that, because it kind of it can help kickstart a whole new sort of wave and a whole new generation of audiences for that kind of genre, which then again loops back into the older stuff, because some of that older garage stuff, let's say for example, it's timeless, man. Like the old Steve Gurley stuff, what's his name, Todd Edwards, like they're kind of like proper garagey though, right? Like sample based garage, but it's absolutely iconic. Like, you know, like even people like Armand Van Helden, right? Kind of tilting in more towards the disco house sort of vibes. But that whole era of music is bloody timeless, man. But it takes for people to kind of bring a new, fresh vibe to it, and then people go down the rabbit hole. They're like, well, this music must come from somewhere, right? And it only takes them to hear one track. Next minute, you've got a whole generation looping back into music that was 25 years old. And then you get a nice resurgence in sound again, man. And then it's I think that's one of the most beautiful things about music, where it literally goes round in cycles. It literally just goes round and round in cycles. And, you know, I think for artists, it's important to... I don't really know if, like, staying true to the game. And I don't think artists should really ever be picked off for wanting to adventure into other sounds and genres. Because, you know, you're a creative. You know, that's like telling a painter to paint the similar paintings with the same colour palette all the time. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, they might not be feeling that today. And I think it's good that artists do that and venture into other sounds and genres, because it's only a benefit. It's only a benefit, right? Especially if they've got a huge network and they've got a huge team behind them that pushes stuff. You know, like kind of like, I suppose, kind of like the Skrillex thing. He wasn't, you know, when he made one of his biggest tracks, he was homeless. I think he was living in like some warehouse and stuff. And
What,
he kind of
the cinema remix?
that's it. Yeah, I think I see a video on
He
that the
made
other
that.
day.
Yeah, I've seen that. He made it on. I think he had a broken laptop speaker, and like
Yeah.
broken, and it like that was the one that got him nominated for the Grammy. And he was like,
accepted in the Grammy, wasn't he? When he said that, I think it was his Grammy speech, wasn't it? I think
yeah,
it was-
and
it
he's
does
like,
that.
I made this on a broken laptop speaker in a warehouse that, you know, wasn't approved to, you know, be lived in. It was a commercial space, but like, this is what we had to do. And so I was just like living there on a couch and whatever else, just making it work.
That's it.
Yeah,
man.
like,
That's it.
but what you were talking
It's crazy.
about with like with the cycles, like I've kind of noticed that. I've obviously Skrillex, whatever, and I feel like then there was after maybe 2012, 2013, 2014, like 2014 to maybe 2017, there was like, and I think again it was still probably Skrillex that kind of led the way. I feel like every time he does something sonically, you know, oh, here's a new thing, it's like, fuck, everyone just copy it, but not as good. You know? Or that everyone's inspired by, like, yeah, but
that's
like
new.
Jack Hugh came out with that whole album, and then there was like all the future bassy kind of stuff for a bit, was quite strong, and I think that influenced like heaps of pop music as well.
It's true. It's true, and people jump on trends. You know, that's like
Of
that's
course.
quite an interesting subject actually. I was speaking to someone about
Think
this the
about
other day,
Notion.
and it's kind of like, it's weird because people flock to, you know, look, it's the same as fashion, right? There'll be a trainer. I won't name any names of trainers, but there was a trainer when I was younger, a sneaker, because I'm a bit of a sneakerhead, right? I love my Nikes and stuff. I spend way too much on them, right? But there was a certain sneaker brand when I was a kid that you wouldn't be seen dead in it. You wouldn't be seen dead in it. It was like bottom of the thing, you know, it was the cheapest thing there, it was horrible. Now all of a sudden, it's this really popular sneaker, and I'm like scratching my head thinking, what the hell? And it's just taken for one person to wear that sneaker, and now it's a whole different vibe. And to be fair, they've modernised it, it looks pretty cool. But music's a very, very similar thing, right? And I think the thing is with music though, what is sometimes causes a bit of saturation, and it can get a little bit congested, is where people, they want the end goal. They see this person at their point of success. They want to jump on that to be at that point of success. But they don't see, or they probably don't care, that point of success is 10 to 15 years of graft and hard work that's all of a sudden clicked, and it's got them, and they're having their moment, right? And so people miss, it comes from this angle, that person reaches here, these people come from here, boom, and they try to get there straight away. And it kind of does work for some, but what I find it causes is a mess of a very saturated industry, and it gets quite weird in the way of like, you just actually don't know who's making what anymore. What you know, you could be easily led to think that it's one producer doing that stuff when it's actually just loads of them just copying each other, and it can be quite I don't know, is it just the sign of the times, you know, because the sound, you know, like the signature sound is still there, but it's few and far between, and you have to dig very deep to find it, I think. And even then you struggle to think, was it actually this person, or have they just nicked it off someone else, and have they just run with it and stuff like that? So it's I think it's that's normal. You're never going to get away from that, because music, the making of music is so accessible these days. You could literally download a piece of software, or even just go on BandLab, which is a browser-based DAW, sign up and start making music immediately.
That's how I split all my tunes.
Yeah, man. I
The
mean, you can
the
have a
stem
track
splitter
ready.
on there is real good.
Yeah, exactly, man. You can have like a track ready in half an hour with ready-made loops, like no problem. And the thing is, if you've got the right connections and you talk to the right people, you can do something with that music. Yeah, and
Mm.
whereas you'll get somebody that will sit there for 10 hours in the studio, get stuck on a loop, and drive themselves crazy and not do nothing with it. You get these other people that are more business minded that
That's
you know
me.
thing. That's why I'm a huge advocate of of music business, a huge advocate of it. Sometimes even more so than the music production side of things. Like I could teach you about compression and stereo imaging and all kinds of technical stuff if you want to know it. But how about if you're going to spend 10 hours in the studio, why don't you spend 10 hours at your laptop trying to make links as well? Why
When
don't
you say
people do
make
that?
links, you mean like just talk it, like trying
Connection.
to email and talk to people?
Yeah, well, that, but more than that is kind of like an R&D thing. Yeah, so research and development. Look at what people are up to. Check out the communities. Get involved with things. Look, I get it, socializing and stuff. It could be a bit draining. Like I'm an introvert, right? I battle with extrovert tendencies, but I am an introvert. Like things like this and mentoring straight after, which I've got to do. That's going to take it out of me for the day. I'll be drained. Yeah, I'll be done. Yeah, but it's kind of like you have to you have to balance it where because you can have the best music in the world, but if you don't spend the time to make the right connections, communicate with people, and I'm not just talking about reach out to loads of people and send them your music. I'm talking about trying to build relationships. Yeah, you're better off having 5 good relationships with people in the music industry that you just talk to here and there on a healthy basis about all kinds of stuff than just trying to reach out to 100 people in one day with a link and going, yo, here's my music, can you check it out please, or can I have some feedback? Like, you've got to spend the time to try and make connections. Your network is your net worth. You ain't gonna make nothing off your music if it's just sitting in the studio and you're staring at it and driving yourself mad because you can't get the mix right. It's what goes on beyond that, and that's why you see people that sometimes, look, we can be honest and say, I hear some people's music and I'm like, it's okay. Technically, it's okay. I've heard a hell of a lot better. But these people are really successful. Why are they really successful? Because they're out and about. They're communicating. They're being a part of the music industry. They're making friends with those people these A&R people of these record labels. They're taking the time to go to that bar in the evening and maybe have a drink or two and mingle with certain people. And the thing is, with the internet, it's almost like a blessing and a curse because we've got so much. It's a endless place of opportunity, right? But then at the same time, it's also extremely easy for people to just ignore you. It's very easy because the internet, right? Whereas if you
Yeah,
see
of course.
someone in person and you're like, "Hi, I'm blah blah blah. What's your name? How are you?" They're not just going to look at you, turn around, and walk away, are they? I mean, some might, which would be a bit weird, but for the most part, they're not, right? So it's about trying to sort of communicate and get to working with people at any kind of capacity, man. And like, you don't have to always come with something like listen to my music, do this. 'Cause you have to remember, people in high places have a lot of things going on. They've got families, they've got kids, they've got
100%.
they've got stuff going on. And like, if someone don't get back to you,
Even regular people,
yeah,
like
exactly,
even
man.
people who aren't in high places who are just like on the same level as you, still have their day job to worry about. They, could be having a relationship problem that week or whatever it is.
Mate, I work in music full time. My hustle is music industry, 9 to 5. But I've got 2 small kids. One's 5 and one's a year old, near enough. I've got a wife. I've got a mortgage. I've got stuff going on. Do you know what I mean? So I try my best to stay on top of it. And this is somebody that this is what I do for a living. So I'm kind of very much like boom, boom, boom. I try and keep on top of it. But for somebody that's also got a job or doing other stuff in between and whatnot, you could imagine that a 1 day reply timeline would turn into 3 or 4 days. And I think it's important to try and understand that of people. That's why it's important to communicate with people and get to know people, because then you'll know, I've sent them that track, but they probably won't get back to me for about a week. Or they might not get back to me at all, and next minute they're playing my tune to 50,000 people at a festival. I know what I would rather have. I would rather them just play my tune than be upset about them not replying to me and saying thanks for the song. Do you know what I mean? Of course, they'll get back to you at some, but yeah, it's you know, to bring it back in, the music business side of things is so important. You have to balance it where you're putting the time and effort and energy into your craft and what's actually going to get you there, the product. But then you've got to be able to put yourself out there. And it's not a case of like being a social media guru and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's about tapping into who you are, leaning into who you are as a person, and go for it. There's some people that are amazing at talking and communicating with people and making links and connections. Yeah, lean into that. Be that person. You know, and then there's some people that are a little bit more quiet that don't really get on that, so they find other ways to do things. I think it takes a lot of sort of self-awareness and working on yourself, you know, as well, because people, you are a business. You are a bit. As soon as you enter the music industry at any capacity, you are a business. You're a product. You're something. You're there. You're generating money. If it's 10 pence or £1 off a release a month, that's your business.
That's something.
You like it. It is that, man. Do you know what I mean? So I think people need to take that a bit more, just a little bit more seriously, I suppose, you know?
Yeah, if you are that person who maybe, like, you overthink talking to heaps of people, or like you're saying, it's the way I approach it is anytime I look at stories, I find that as like anytime there's something that I can relate to, like for example, there's this guy that I occasionally just message him from New Zealand, makes drum bass, and I like a couple of his tunes, and he posted a thing saying this is from 6 years ago when I entered the Kenny Beats beat battle, and Kenny Beats is like hip hop, but I used to make a bit of hip hop, like just beats and stuff like that, and I used to watch his live streams because he live streamed during COVID. And I was like, bro, Kenny Beats is the GOAT. And I just replied to his story. But that like, constant little, like, oh, maybe once a month or so, you just, like, reply to a story here and there. And a year later, you guys have had 12 little threads of just a couple messages. It doesn't have to be anything big. But now when you go, hey, bro, like, I made this track. Can I have some feedback? It's not so, like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, exactly. It's about building a relationship.
And people are like, how do I build because they're so focused on the outcome, like getting something out of it. I find, and I've had one or two mates like that who are like, I'm like, bro, just don't put so much pressure on it, like that it's.
But that's what the
something's got to come of it. Of course,
wouldn't do that in the street, right? You wouldn't go up to like somebody at college or university and or wherever in a public space and go, hi. Can we be best mates, please? Right now, right here. That's a similar thing. What you're doing, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're mates.
Like,
you know what I mean?
It's like, whoa, why are you all of a sudden up in my face?
You go to the same space. You go to the same bar, the same pool place, or the same sports place. Like I play a lot of football, and I see people week in, week out. And there's some guys that down the line we've become mates. But I didn't just rock up with my football kit on my back and go, yo, everyone, can we all be really good friends and talk on WhatsApp every day? And can you tell me how good I am at football? Yeah. Man, it's just crazy. So it's almost like people act very differently online. Now, I get some people that just inbox me, can I have feedback on some music? That's it. And I'm just like, no hi, no please, no nothing. I'm not even going to reply to you. I don't even reply. I think I'm not out here trying to be your dad and trying to school you on manners for a start. But secondly, would you just come up to me in the street and be like, can I have some feedback on music? I'd be like, steady on, bro. I'm with my kids and my wife. I'm going to McDonald's, mate. So sorry, no, I can't, right?
Oh, my God.
I can't stand the stuff McDonald's. It's the first thing that come into my head. I don't condone that
stuff.
Yeah,
me too, me too. I'm trying to stay away.
Mate. Like, it's, people get it very twisted. And it's like, come on, man, like, have a little bit of, to talk to people, communicate properly. Like, it's
say it out loud to the mirror, maybe before you send a message.
Funny you say that. A friend of mine gave me some really good advice. Right, a friend of mine called Eric. He was based in the States, and he said to me, "Goes, you know what, dude? He goes, before like you send a message to anyone, text it to yourself. Just in life in general, right? Text it to yourself. Don't open it straight away, but open it after a few minutes and see how that hits you straight away. Does it look okay? Does it look weird? Does it look rude? And, especially for some, you have to do with every message, of course, but certain ones that you kind of, you're maybe reaching out to someone about music, or it's a business thing, or I don't know, like something like that. It's a really good way to sort of get like oh no, I don't know, I should probably tweak that a little bit. That comes across a bit weird, or there's loads of typos in it as well, which look, isn't the end of the world. Typos aren't a thing. Some people can't help that anyway, right? But it's good to just be kind of just think about things, isn't it? Just because an inbox is somebody's space, right? Like, jump in, go, hi, like, how's your day? You good? I was just wondering, can I ping over a track to you? Yeah, sure, man. Like, cool, let's go. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, can I have some feedback? Well.
And it's like almost the same thing. Like, you are trying to get the same outcome. Like, let's not sit here and at the same time pretend that I'm only messaging to just be a nice guy. Like, obviously I want something out of the relationship. That's everyone though, right? But it's just, like you said, it's like manners. I'm not trying to be your dad here. And how would you go and talk to someone at a bar? And if you overheard a conversation and someone was like behind you at a table and they, yo, did you hear that new such and such track? And you're like, someone else who likes the same music as me? Of course I'm going to go talk to them. But I don't, like that's how you can reply to a story. Like if someone's mentioned something that's like the person at the table behind you talking about something and you overhear and you're like, we need to be friends, because I get that. But it's, an out of the blue message needs to, like, I think, I don't know, when I messaged you, I was like, hey, like, you've just come up on my timeline, you're giving some really good advice and stuff like that, and I've just binged, like, a bunch of your content. And it kind of explains, like, I guess the situation where I've recorded a couple episodes, I think you'd be really valuable to have on, and whatnot, and you were like, sweet, yeah, let's do it. Which was...
This is the thing, right? You make a good point as well. Like, look, everyone reaches out with they want something, right? That's normal. And like, there's them people that say, oh, you only ever hit me up when you want something. And it's like, well, I've reached out to see how you are, actually. So yeah, I do want something. I want to see if you're okay. There's always an outcome. You want something, right? That's normal. But I just think it's good to sort of just jump in with a little bit of like a little bit of decorum. Do you know what I mean? It just helps, man. And do you know what as well? I'm that cool with things, even though things play on the back of my mind. Even if someone did say, can I have some feedback on music? I would actually reach out and just say, hi, yeah, cool. I would in the end, but I would definitely not get back to them straight away, because I'd think, you can sit there for a second because I need to get my head around this.
You can go sit in the corner and think about what you've done.
Yeah, seriously, man. I think that must be the dad in me, I think, mate, that goes on like that, right? Because I'm not going to start pulling people up. I'm not going to start saying, oh, you should learn some manners before hitting me up. That's not my vibe, man. I'm not down for that. Yeah.
No, you're not going to critique people off the back.
In person, if someone comes at me with that, I'll absolutely be like, don't talk to me like that, right? There's certain boundaries, right? But not on the internet, man. Because at the same time, I also think I talk to people all over the world. There's language barriers and stuff, and some people are a bit more abrupt. Although I do believe that, come on, like, manners are universal, right? It's not people know what is what, and English is a very widely spoken and acknowledged language anyway. So I kind of like, I'm on the cusp of that, thinking, well, but man, it's that's the weird and wonderful place that is that's the internet. So we just roll with it. It's fucking man,
And like, I guess because you've got to jump off, you've got something else in 10 minutes. Just a couple little, I guess, quick fire questions. In terms of like, you've been doing this for 25 plus years, and is there anything like, I guess the right word, success wise, where you've seen someone and they've gone from the start to, being like where everyone wants to be, like on a main stage or whatever, or they've, and you've maybe seen that happen multiple times, and is there a trend in what that person does or how they act, or like what you think universally. Okay, I've seen all these people get to that point. They all have this in common.
Yeah, I'll tell you what they have in common. They never give up. They won't stop. They won't stop. They're obsessed with being someone. And you know what? It's funny you say that. When we see it, we think, yeah, they've made it. They've smashed it. In their mind, they haven't.
They've still got heaps of room to
They've
go.
still got heaps to do. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it needs managing. It can be unhealthy. There needs to be a point. Like for me, like I look at what I've done and people say to me, yo, you're like, honestly, most people I speak to go, you're one of the first people I've ever spoke to that actually just lives off the music industry and lives nice off the music industry. You're good. And I'm like, you know what? I am. I've had to take a lot of risks. I've had to sacrifice and I've had to do a lot. But you know what? I look at myself and I look at where other people would give their right arm to be where I am, you know? And I think it's important to look at that. But at the same time, I'm ambitious. I want to be successful in the sense of, it's not for anyone, it's for me. You know, when I can wake up and look around me and know that my wife's good, my kids are good, I've got a nice house, I've got everything I need, and I've done that. I've done that myself, you know, with the help of supporting people around me. And I think there's my own personal sort of missions that I have, yeah. But to answer your question, it is, man, the journey. You see these people, and the thing is, they're very comfortable, and this is a really important one. They're very comfortable with the journey being as non-linear as something could possibly be. It's like a spaghetti junction. That's important, because people will only see that moment when you arrive, let's say, that moment when you're there, 100,000 people in front of you and everyone's like, this guy's a god or this woman's a goddess, whatever it might be, right? And but to get there has been an absolute shit show of ups, downs, left and rights, peaks and troughs, days where they're contemplating their existence, never mind their musical skills, right? So I think there has to be this burning desire to embrace the journey, like massively. I know that's a big thing that gets thrown around. It's like a buzzword. All we have is the process and the journey. But yo, it is true. That is all we do have, because tomorrow ain't promised. Yesterday's done. What are we doing right now to make sure that we get the best out of what could be potentially on the horizon? And you got to just keep going, man. You have to just keep going. And you know what? It can just click overnight. I hit 10,000 followers on my Insta literally 2 days ago. 3 months ago, or not even 3 months ago, I was on 900 followers. And I sat there for 2 years doing absolutely not really much of anything. I was just doing my business, you know?
That's
and
nuts.
all of a sudden, one video broke through. One video broke through the algorithm, and here we are. Here we are. And it's as simple as that. And yet, look, my business was already good before that. I can comfortably say that since that, things have gone up a notch. Of course they have, because it's not just the numbers. We're talking interaction, we're talking my DMs are going mental, we're talking comments, we're talking everything like that. And it just
and you've got to hate, you've got like I think this is really important and something that I even need to take note of. You've got like a massive content catalog, because you're almost posting, like, I didn't look at the dates, but it seems like every single day you're posting. And obviously
it's compound traction, man. It's compounding, you know?
And then but it, to me, when I have posted, like, you know, videos in a row or whatever, and none of them are getting traction, you're like, what's the point? But it's not that they're bad. It's just like, it's just how Instagram is, or how whatever social media is. And you've got that one that hit, and now everyone's like, oh, I can sit here for an hour. And
the funniest thing, bruv, them videos that I've done them. I've been doing them for the last 10 odd years on different accounts that I've had, that I've shut down, that I can't be bothered no more. Bro, that knowledge is my knowledge. I've been sharing that for years. I'm obsessed with helping people. And that's why my shit comes across so well. I'm not down for this edited, great content stuff. I can't be bothered with that. I'm a one hit. I record my video. I fumble about 3 minutes. I'm not interested in editing it down to 1 minute. I use the 3 minutes because I know that after 3 minutes, Instagram does choke the reach a little bit. So I keep it to 3 minutes. I fumble around. I do my thing. But you know what? I get my point across. That's all I care about. And mate, people can resonate with that. And honestly, I've been sharing these same tips for flipping years. It's just that for years and years and years, no one see them. It didn't get through, nothing. Now all of a sudden, it's popping through, and I'm just sharing the knowledge that I've got, and I'm learning every day from it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Don't ever stop. The only time you fail, I don't believe in failure, but if you ever want to fail, stop, stand still. That's it. That's it.
Well, just
if you want to
fail faster, and then you learn, right?
I could knock everything on the head right now. Go back to a warehouse job, 9 to 5, stand there and get paid minimum wage, struggle every month. Yes, I failed because I've stopped doing what I was doing. My mission. I've stopped what I was doing. That's the only time I failed. You know? So just don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. Just, you're gonna have really shit times. You're gonna have shit times. Everyone's gonna question what you're doing and think, what the hell is this guy doing? But you know what? It only takes one video, one moment, one song, one conversation, one anything, and the whole trajectory of your life just changes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
For sure. No, I'd listened to this like 10-minute TED talk. Maybe it was even this morning in the car. And this guy was talking about some experience he had when he was at school, and he was talking about when you have a goal, as soon as you stop focusing on the goal, that's actually when progress starts, because you're not focused on the end point. You're just you need to focus on the singular actions and just doing them over and over, instead of focusing on like this big thing at the end. Just focus on like the, it's like 0.1%.
Hi, it's my small dog.
I've got 2 dogs down here.
Oh, wicked, man.
Yeah. One of them's farting, I think, because
great.
It's not smelling good in here.
Mostly, mate. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is. I'm a huge believer of kind of manifestation, to the point where I just do it automatically now. Like nothing's going to stop me from doing what I need to do. Nothing. I am not going back to living the way that I used to live. I'm not going back to working for someone else. I'm not going back to having somebody tell me how to dress, where to be, what time to be there, when I can see my kids, when I can have a weekend, when I can go on holiday, when I can have my lunch. I ain't never having that shit ever again. And that is enough. When I'm laying in my bed and it's 5 a.m. and I think, should I sleep for another hour? I think, no chance. Because if I had a shift that I had to start at 5 in the morning for someone else paying me minimum wage, I'd be up, ready to go. So what? I'm not going to do that for my own business and for my own missions. Yeah. So you have to dig deep, man. You have to make it work. But you can, and you just have to keep believing, man. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. My gut is my brain. This brain here messes everything up, bro. I try not to let that get involved too much. It's my gut, my stomach. I get a feeling and I think I'm rolling with that. Even though people say don't do it, I ain't got time for people to say don't do it. I've got time for people to say, you know what, bruv? What do you want to do? I'm going to do it. Even if it might end up being the biggest mistake I make, I don't give a shit. I'm doing it. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen, bruv? Like, everything could go tits up. I'll go and get a job tomorrow. I'm back to my 9 to 5. Upset for a little while, and then we move. Yeah? We just carry on with things. What's the worst that can happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, take a little risk.
You don't try and you don't keep moving forward. You'll never know. You never know what could have been. And the thing is as well, like, you go off on a mission and opportunities present themselves, the conversations with people. I'm excited to know what's going to happen in the next few months. What conversation am I going to have? What opportunity is going to come along? Because that's what I'm moving for every day. Someone could hit my inbox like you. It only takes one person to see this podcast, man. Things could change dramatically. It doesn't matter about whether you've got 1 million followers or 100 followers. It does not matter whether you're DJing in front of 10,000 people or 10 people. One of them 10 people might be head of A&R of one of the biggest labels in the world, and they might just be there by chance, and they might go, yo, this guy's got something, man, or this woman's got something. Let's roll, bro.
Do you know, I've got a funny story about that. There's a girl in New Zealand. She goes by the DJ name Missy. I don't know if you've seen her.
No, I haven't.
No. So when Fred again came to New Zealand, must have been it was last year, like start of last year sometime, and he did this like thing where he's like putting shit on his story, kind of being all mysterious and like kind of like people trying to guess his location. He did these pop-up shows where he'd only announce it like the night before, which is really cool.
Man.
But he was in Auckland and she's playing to a bar, literally 10 people in this bar. He walks in, he goes, you know, you're gonna come open for me. You're gonna come do this, and she remixed "Places to Be." Hello, I got places to be. You heard that song with Anderson .Paak? She has a remix, an official remix of that. Like, she is just, you know, doing shit. And I watched her perform at a New Year's festival over here in Brisbane. And I was like, what the hell? Like, she was,
That's
you know,
crazy.
she was just a local DJ. That moment literally just changed her life, like, overnight. She has a song with Overmono. No, maybe not Overmono. One of the other guys that Fred's collab with as well. Like, yeah,
Crazy.
she's done some crazy stuff since then, and I'm just like, her whole career just, you know, from that moment.
Well, bro, look, I've literally, my
You gotta
guy's
jump
just
off.
my mentor and said, yeah, right now I've got to really jump in now, otherwise he's just sitting there waiting for me, man. So,
All right,
look, man,
well, this was a pleasure.
thank you so much for the opportunity, man. And look, you know, tag me up in anything. If you
I'll
invite
give
me
you
to
some
collaborate,
clips.
you know, Insta reels and stuff, I kind of accept them throughout the day, so don't be alarmed if I don't accept it straight away. I'll just try and make sure that I don't post too much too quickly and stuff. Drop me any links, anything like that, man. I'm there, bruv, to support. But I really, really appreciate the opportunity and the conversation, man. Yeah?
No, it's been awesome. All right,
Cool, bro.
you have a good
All
one,
right,
mate. Good luck with the rest
Have
of
a
your
great
day.
day. Speak to you soon, yeah?
You too.
Nice one. Cheers.
Bye.